welcome to NEK-TV Rocks. My guests today are Redford and Lisa Robinson. As you probably noticed, the setup's a little different because Redford doesn't do so well sitting at a table. This is Redford, and this is Lisa, in case anybody wondered. Lisa, tell us about Redford.
Well, he's actually a rescue, which is one of the important aspects of it. He came from Alabama, where he was found as a stray on the streets, had been picked up by Bloodhound Rescue because he was in a kill shelter, which is what they have down there. He was picked up and fostered for a couple of months, and in the meantime, since I had lost my previous Bloodhound I did searches with, I checked into getting another one and got him. And got him shipped up here, and first got him and thought, I don't know how, I don't teach them, they know what to do. Come here. And sit, wait. You just gotta wait. I saw him. He gets bored. So, the first thing I had was I had a friend come, and I said, it was wintertime too, it was like early December. And I thought, I don't know, but we'll try. And I said, leave your mitten on my car and walk up the road. You'll see there's just places you can there's nothing much there. So she did, and I went out with him and gave him a sniff of the mitten, and he dragged me through the snow. I fell a few times, and he went straight to her. And I thought, wow, that's great, he knew. And we did it again, and the next time he dragged me to this pile of lumber behind this house. And I thought, oh no, this can't be right. Sure enough, she had hid behind the pile of lumber. He was right.
So
I decided he knew what to do.
And he's smart.
Yes, yes.
And he's beautiful.
Hounds are very smart, thank you. And I started getting calls and doing searches with him. The important thing for people to understand about dogs, and especially bloodhounds, is the nose is prime. Everything yes, I know. He says, that's the nose, yes, the nose knows.
This is why people don't do shows with animals.
Excuse me?
He's beautiful.
He's so proud of himself. And when I first got him, he was totally just skinny, bones, and he's obviously put on quite a bit of weight since then. I've had him since late 2010. And we've done a number of searches, and I've learned mostly from him. And what he needs is a scent article, because there's a difference between tracking and trailing. Tracking is what like the police dogs do, and they just following the last track that left an area, which works really well for them, because that's all they need. Trailing is scent specific, where they are the dog is looking for a specific person or animal. And that's what the bloodhounds are good at. You're not supposed to do that.
So he's okay. So if one of my cats, for example, is missing, we would contact you.
Yes, and have some kind of a scent. It can even just be a few tufts of fur from brushing the cat. He doesn't need very much. The DNA is on whatever you have.
Right.
And yes, dear. And it can be a piece of bedding. It can be a collar. It can be anything, as long as it's just the scent of that cat and not all the other cats.
Right. That would
And
be a challenge
that's where we
with
sometimes have a
multiple
problem.
cats.
And that's why I've tried to tell people who have multiple animals, easy thing you can do is just either brush a little bit of fur or take a clean cloth and wipe it over them, put it in a plastic bag and put their name on it. If they ever get lost.
Yeah. That's a really useful piece of information.
Yes, and I've tried to tell people that, and they've said, oh, I wish I had done that. Well, if they do, you've got multiple animals. Oh, excuse us. Excuse me.
Thank you for sharing.
And it's the best way for him to be able to, because without a scent article, it's like you're showing me a picture of 5 people, and you say, I'm trying to find the guy with the glasses, and 3 out of the 5 have glasses. I still don't know who you want.
So if, for example, I take a cloth from each of my cats, put them in separate bags, how long would that last?
That's debatable. A lot of the search people have said, oh, my dog can find something even with this little scent from, 18 months ago, or another one says no. It's always under discussion, and various people will tell you various things.
Sure.
I think that as long as it's not, exposed to a lot of other scents, it should keep fairly well for a while. And it can always be refreshed and so forth.
So if I do that, you're drooling.
Yes,
How charming.
they do a lot of it.
If I do that and put the baggies separately, say refresh them every 6 months, something like that?
Yeah, you could do that. Because it's hard to say exactly, but I have seen him go on very little scent, as long as it's strong scent. And this is the difference. Now he's like, I'm not on a search. I can just do anything I want and have a
Yeah.
good old time and be
One
friendly.
of the times that I've met Redford
Yeah.
was in Tractor Supply, where of course animals are welcome when you go in. And you and I were chatting about Redford, and he was as bored as he clearly
Yeah.
is now. And another dog walked by, and he was just so Mr. Meet and Greet. It was lovely.
This is the way he is. Even though he lives with other dogs, he
Uh-huh.
loves other dogs. He loves animals, loves people.
Mhm.
When he's on a search, all that changes.
Mhm.
He still loves everybody, but he ignores everything but what he's after.
Yeah.
And we'll take the scent article along with us on the
Yeah.
search. And it's always funny because he kind of talks at that point. We have the search article, the person, the owner is going along
Uh-huh.
with me. We get a little ways and I tell them, here, let's just check in with the scent article because I'd hate to have him sniff it and go, oh, is that what you wanted? That would be
Right.
terrible, and he never
I'm
has.
sorry, that was your foot.
So I offer him the scent article, and may take a quick whiff, and that's it. I
Mhm.
mean, the first time he really sniffs it, and then after that, And then, if a little further in the search you offer him the scent article again,
Mhm.
if he could speak, it isn't nice.
He did.
I know, get it out of here, I've had it. He doesn't even want to look at
Yeah.
it at that point, because he knows.
Yeah.
And he ignores everything else, he'll go past people, everything, the other dogs, all he wants is that scent, and he goes right after it.
How successful is he?
Now, this is the biggest problem, is that we usually don't get called till the animal's been missing for, a few days.
Right.
So we seldom catch up to them. But we can tell them very valuable information, like where they've been and where they're headed.
Mhm.
And that makes a lot of difference.
Right.
Because a lot of times they had no idea where it went. And now they know who to notify, where,
Mhm.
places to put notifications and so on. And the other interesting thing we found on a number of occasions, something I didn't realize, as we go out, the owner's going with me. Well, we're all leaving our scent. We're just not used
Right.
to knowing that we're doing that.
Yeah.
And we're all leaving our scent. The owner is leaving his scent. And it's happened with both cats and dogs, where we've gone out a ways, kind of finally given up, been out a while, and I
Mhm.
go home, and the next day they call me and say, guess who just came home?
They followed the
And the
scent
perfect
back home.
example is that one from the Barton paper,
Yes.
where there was the cat Pogo in,
Mhm.
in Barry, a Siamese cat that wandered off in the woods, had been gone for 5 days in the hot summer heat.
Mm.
No one thought he was alive.
Yeah.
They wanted the body, that was all. And he took us out through the woods, and the cat probably had been chased by something, was leery
Sure.
of coming back, or wasn't sure how to get back. We finally quit when we kind of figured, the scent went off in some
Mhm.
direction here. And I went home, and it was a late Saturday afternoon, and Sunday morning I got a call, Pogo had just shown up. Now, he'd been missing for 5 days,
Right.
and he came back looking a little tired and a little messy from the woods, but he was still in good shape. So there was nothing else to surmise except that he got the owner's scent and followed it back.
Right.
Because he felt good doing that.
Yeah. How
So-
often do you get cold?
It varies. Some calls we can't go on. Sometimes they're so far, I've gotten calls in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York,
Mm.
all kinds, even Canada. And generally it just takes so long to get there, I don't go. And it depends on the weather. If it's really, really cold, I don't want him out because he's going to freeze his paws and his ears.
Right.
And I can't do that to him. And I've gotten calls in hunting season. My dog who wanders and chases deer just got out and he's in the woods. Well, are there hunters in those woods? Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not taking my big brown dog in the woods. I'm
Right.
sorry.
They'll think he's Bambi.
Yeah,
Right.
and I can't do that.
No.
But people are unrealistic, and we often get calls for dogs that either unneutered, unspayed, my unspayed female's in heat and she took off.
Yeah. Great.
We've had numbers of things. We just gave him a bath so he doesn't have his collar on, and so he doesn't have any ID, and, all these things.
Yeah.
And the best thing you can do is have some kind of ID, microchip, anything, because well-meaning people will pick up a dog and there's no ID on it, and they'll decide to keep it, give it away, sell it, whatever.
Right.
They mean well, but, hey, I don't know where it belongs.
Right.
And there's a lot of cases of those. Now, we get calls sometimes where they don't have a scent article. And if they don't, if they've got multiple dogs or multiple cats or whatever, if they don't have something that smells only like the animal he has to look for, I can't help them.
Right.
And it's sad, and I feel badly, but I say, well, we have this thing that we think the other cat slept on it a little bit. Hey, a little bit is a little bit, and it left scent. There's
Right.
nothing I can do about it.
With a high-powered nose like he has. That's
Now, one of the interesting searches we went on, to show you how scent-specific they are, they were looking for 2 beagles, 2 sisters, I believe, up in, North Troy. And the 2 sisters had gone out, and then apparently split, and one they had found.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was still missing. Come here, Redford. And they were using the food dishes of the two
Mm-hmm.
for a scent article. So we went out, and he followed, and he suddenly got to this place at this field, and he stopped, and he looked at me, and we immediately got the dish out, because I thought, he's
Mhm.
questioning something. I gave him the food dish, he took a whiff, and then immediately went in another direction in that field. And the only way we figured it
That
was,
was the way
this
they
is where they
split.
split. And he wanted to make sure which dog he had to look for.
Who am I checking
Yeah.
on? Yeah.
And I mean, to me, it sounded fantastic, but to him, it was like, hey, I gotta know which one. Okay,
Common
we're all set.
sense.
It was like we suddenly showed him a picture.
Yeah.
This is the right one. Oh, okay, I got it now.
Did you find her?
No, we figured out she got near Route 100, and we're pretty sure she got picked up.
Uh,
And beagles,
Beagles are the most common dog in rescue facilities because they wander.
yep. And a lot of people, hunters and that, pick them up, and they don't get returned. It's sad, but that's the one dog for sure that we know that happens to.
Yeah.
Some of the little dogs it can happen to. We searched for a little dog in Glover, who we knew was old and not in good shape. We had never met him, but we knew about that from his owner. And Redford took us out and down the road, and
Mhm.
his owner's lady, the very nice lady, said, "Oh no, Potter couldn't have gone down the road. He wasn't in good enough shape." And all of a sudden, Redford took a turn and started up for this house. And this guy came out of the house and went, it was up, very friendly and all, and we talked to him for a minute. And Redford sniffed his legs like crazy, and I thought, you're not interested in other people when you're on a search,
Mhm.
so that kind of bothered me. And the guy looked at me, could see I was kind of watching. I
Paying
said,
attention.
"Oh, I have a couple of golden retrievers." So I kind of accepted that, and then I thought, that's funny, I don't hear any dogs barking from inside.
Yeah.
So I didn't think anything about it. All right. We finally quit because he kind of had dead-ended in that area. And I think it was the next day I found out that the dog had been returned somehow, because he
Yes.
suddenly appeared. And it was like he'd been missing for 2 days, and during the rain, and a sick
Right.
dog, and everything. And he was in great shape, like he'd just been brushed and everything.
Yeah.
I can't prove it, but something was odd.
Yeah.
And he had no reason to take me right up to that guy and sniff at him like
Mhm.
that otherwise. So, a lot of times we just have to figure things out from what he does and what he
Uh-huh.
tells us in his way.
Yeah.
Excuse me, you're interrupting.
When Redford actually finds an
This is the
animal.
funny thing. I got even a picture of one, some people visiting from Washington DC. This is one of the recent ones we did. And Redford took us out, and they said, well, she's been sighted over here and that, and they have a summer house here. And, come here. And here, come on. I know you're very strong. And we went out, and they said, well, we thought we saw her here, so he followed this trail, this path down to a big cornfield, where he got very excited at the cornfield. Excuse you. Very excited at the cornfield, like, the dog had been excited there. And I
Right.
could see why, because it's like, oh, now where am I going to go? And whenever you or an animal gets excited, they leave more scent.
Sure.
So, and then he followed it down through the woods and right to a stream. We were almost to the stream, and I thought, are we going to go swimming or what? When they got a call on their cell phone that just up the stream, the dog had been spotted. So we went out and up, and he got to see the dog. We were right on its track.
Yeah.
And he looked at her. It was Emmy, I think it was her name. And he looked at her and sniffed and like, yeah, okay. And then turned to me like, okay, now what? Because the fun isn't in finding, it's in looking.
Yeah.
And so once he had found her,
He was bored.
Yeah, it's like, is that all?
Yeah.
And he gets bored. He's pretty smart.
So we have to find somebody else for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
You
I hate to
have-
turn people down, but there are times when I've had to.
Sure.
If they don't have what I
You
need.
have another bloodhound as
Mhm.
well. Does he track?
He probably would if I could work with him. I haven't. He comes from a good line of dogs that do that. And he was a rehome situation. And he'd probably be good at it, but the problem is I have to do practice searches with him.
Mm.
And it's very hard to find what we call a runner, and that's a person who is willing to go hide for you with their dog or without or whatever. And if you don't have a chance to work with them, you don't really know how they're going to do
Right.
it. And I've always done it with him, so that's what I've been doing.
Okay. So I was
But-
going to say, would you like a volunteer
Oh,
to
yes,
go
I would
hide?
love that.
I'll come
Yeah.
and hide for you
Yeah.
sometime. That would be fun.
And practice for him and practice,
Yeah.
with Harrison. Harrison would love it too. And it's something that I've enjoyed with them. I like big dogs. I like dogs that are working dogs
Mhm.
that can do something. And that's not to say that little dogs and pet dogs aren't
Mhm.
fine. It's just I've always enjoyed having an animal that can do something.
Yeah, this would be a really cool thing to show kids.
Yes.
To
I'd love to.
I live opposite Bluffside Farms.
Yeah.
And there's all that area.
Yep.
It would be really fun to have a
Yep.
kid participate and
Yep.
hide.
I would love to do that.
That would be great.
Because he loves to do it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's fascinating to watch how they work.
Mhm.
And I have had more people that we started out on a search, and I can tell, I mean, they're polite, but I can tell they're not sure they believe,
Yeah.
you know, in this dog. And they're watching him. And after a few minutes, all of a sudden, he goes, and he sniffs at a branch that happens to be sticking out at a certain level. He pays no attention to anything, but that one branch he sniffs at. And they look, I said, is that about the height of your dog? Well, yeah. I said, uh-huh.
He brushed under it.
And
Yeah.
that's all the dog had to do was brush under it. He left his scent on there.
Uh-huh.
And Redford's like, yeah, that's the right one. And he's done that so many times. I'm used to seeing him do it, but it's
Yeah.
always fun. Or he'll be walking along. He was at one time, and it was winter time. He's walking along, he suddenly stops like, oh, wait a second, I gotta check something. And he goes back and he sniffs. We look, and it's like a little pea spot or poop or something.
Yeah.
From the dog we're looking
Right.
for, or cat. And he knows.
Yeah.
And he gets very interested in, you know, what he finds that he knows is what he's looking for.
You've made a distinction between looking for animals, which is what you guys do, and looking for people.
Yeah.
Why can't he look for people?
Because legally, I believe it would be a problem. If the people asked me to, I think we could do it in a private
Uh-huh.
situation. But I went to a seminar at the State Police Academy some years back with my first search dog. I learned a lot. My dog got to practice what he already knew. A lot of the people there were policemen from various areas
Sure.
and so forth. Very polite and all, but they all had their shepherds. And I love shepherds, they're
Mhm.
fine. But their attitude is they want the wolfy-looking dog, they want to look cool, they want the dog that can chase after a criminal and so on, which is great if that's where, you know,
Right.
but
But for somebody who's, say, older
to me,
and
if you're looking
confused,
for an
who's
old
wandered away-
Alzheimer's patient, a
Right.
child, they're
Yeah.
sometimes leery of something that looks like a wolf to them. But
Yeah.
this, everybody loves him. The second they
Exactly.
see him, they love. I don't ever see anybody
Right.
afraid of him, you know?
I mean, that makes no
Yeah.
sense to me that you are not able to use Redford.
Legally, they want to do it, and they have stipulations, and actually, in a court of law, a bloodhound, whatever a bloodhound finds, is acceptable as evidence.
Yeah.
I don't know, and of course, they're their own shepherds, but when a bloodhound goes out on a trail, I mean, they believe him. They have to. They can
Right.
see.
I mean,
And the
where I-
difference is, too, he doesn't have opinions.
Right.
And I
Oh, I'm
have
sure
read
he
so many
does, but-
times, and it's made me feel so badly. We were looking for such and such. There was one time some years ago, they were looking for some kids. By the time they found them, it was too late. They were in the trunk of a car. He would have gone right there.
Straight there. Right.
Any dog would have. And
Yes.
I guess they didn't use dogs. I don't remember what the story was, but I felt like
Right.
you can't, they wouldn't be in there. I don't care what your opinion is. The dog doesn't care what your opinion is.
Right.
He just knows what
I
he's
mean,
looking for.
Where I come from, originally, bloodhounds are used, or at least they
Yeah,
were.
yeah.
I assume they
And they
still
are sometimes for people here.
Yeah.
But more and more, the police like using the shepherds. I think partly because a lot of times they are looking, like in a city, for, somebody that
Right.
they'd like to have the dog attack or
Yeah.
whatever.
But if
But-
somebody contacted you that a family member
Right.
was
Oh, I'd be
missing
glad to
in
help
that
as
way.
long as it was all okayed.
Sure.
I'd do it because he doesn't care what he's looking for.
Right.
He's looking for whatever smells like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter what it belongs to. He doesn't care. He doesn't make a decision on that. The police have also said to me that they don't like to have a dog that searches for animals as well as people because, and in their words, if we're looking for a person, we can't tell whether he's looking for the person or he's crittering.
That's
And I said,
that's pretty
he's looking
foolish.
for a scent. Well, he might be crittering. You mean looking for yeah, he might be looking for an animal. So I said, okay.
That's
I'll just
really
do animals.
foolish because that's
Yeah.
not recognizing exactly what he's doing
Right.
or what any other
He is-
scent-oriented dog
He is
doing.
scented on something and just, that's it. That's all he wants to do is find it. And the biggest problem really is not that whether he can find it, but that I watch that either he's not too cold or too hot
Mhm.
or too tired.
Right.
Because we've gone out, sometimes been out for quite a while, and I look, and I make sure I bring liquid for him, something for him to drink. I've got a collapsible bowl
Sure.
and all that. And I watch, because if his nose is dry, it's not as
Right.
easy for him to scent. And if he's starting to really pant and I feel his chest and he's really
Right.
hot, we take a break.
Sure.
Because I just,
How old
too-
is he?
He's 9 now.
Oh.
I'm not sure exactly when he turns 9, but somewhere in the spring, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. How old is Harrison, your other dog?
Harrison's 7,
Okay.
so he's up there too. But
So he should get some training wheels then.
Yeah, he should. Mostly he likes to search for his little toys at home.
Yeah, well, that's because he's not been given any big
right.
tasks.
This guy doesn't care about toys. He just likes
Right.
to do something. But and one of the important things with their nose that people don't realize how strong they are, they know that humans have something like 5 or 6 million scent cells.
Mhm.
Sounds like a lot. They have, well, dogs in general have at least 200 million, and bloodhounds probably 300 million. So that's 300
It's
to
amazing.
5.
Yeah.
And what they tell you is like if you're cooking a stew,
Mm-hmm.
you smell food cooking. He
Sure.
smells every separate ingredient. I've seen him go out in the morning and go, and it's like, oh yeah, who's cooking the bacon this morning? You know,
Yeah.
he just knows
So
whatever it is.
he'd
he's
make a
after.
great chef.
Oh yeah, he'd tell you exactly what was in everything, and they're fascinating to watch that way. And yes, they do drool, but hey, babies and old people drool too.
That's exactly
You know,
right.
What the heck, I don't mind. And he's so serious about what he does. He really
Yeah.
is. It's fascinating things about their nose and about scent that you can read that just will floor you when you realize the things they can do.
How many other scent-oriented dogs are there in this area? Working dogs, like.
I don't really know of any. This is the thing. I've gotten calls all over Vermont and into New Hampshire and
Sure.
so forth, and I've heard people say that they couldn't find anyone else, and then every now and then I hear that they found someone, but it didn't work out.
Hmm.
Some friend had a dog or whatever, I don't know.
But not a dog that's
No. I know there's
practiced.
somebody in Rhode Island and someone in Maine. I don't
Mhm.
know how good any of them are. I
Right.
just heard that they're there.
Huh.
I know one person got called and they didn't find the dog via that person
Mhm.
and called me and got a much better idea where the dog was with us. And it's
Mhm.
just the way it worked, you know, and they paid the guy quite a bit of money. And I
Right.
was like, I'm sorry, I can't help what happened with
Right.
him. This guy is really good.
You should start a training school.
I'd love to, you know, if I just had the contacts. I don't know the people, you know, well
Right.
enough. And I'm kind of a hermit with my animals, and I don't get out
Yeah.
enough. And if I did, I would be able to teach people quite a bit about it, because we're going to have to retire someday. I'm
Right.
getting older, and he's getting older, and I'm going to have knee surgery probably, among other things. So,
Yeah.
you know, I can't always do it. And no,
There must
I
be.
know you're bored.
There
I
must be other
understand.
people in the area who
Yeah.
have bloodhounds who would.
There's not
love
many
it.
bloodhounds around here, but there are some. And certainly, you could do it with other dogs, but
Mhm.
bloodhounds are really the best. And I'd be glad to show anyone who is
Yeah.
interested, because there's so much to learn. And they say, well, what did you do to teach him? And I admit I didn't. A lot of people, I mean, they teach the shepherds and so forth.
Right.
But you see, with the police, they teach their shepherds because you do it for me and you get a reward.
Right.
And which is great. And the dogs will do it. Shepherds will
Sure.
do anything for you. Bloodhounds don't do it for you. They
They're
do it for
doing
themselves.
because they want to.
If you happen to come along, great, and if you don't,
Mhm.
so what? So I always am attached to him via a long lead, because otherwise, you know,
He's gone.
he could be gone.
Yeah. That's
And-
pretty much true for all hounds.
Yeah. They, you know, I've heard of hounds that are good in obedience and so forth, but it just isn't their forte.
I've never seen one.
I've heard of a few. I know some good bloodhound people in the rest of
Yeah.
the country, and very nice people. And
It's like beagles. I mean,
Yeah.
the reason that beagles are missing
Yeah.
so often
yeah,
is
they follow their nose.
poof, they're
And,
gone.
and one of the common things is when you get a bloodhound, the people tell you, one, that you got a nose with a dog attached,
Mhm.
and two, don't try invisible fence. Very, very
They'll go
seldom
straight
does it
through.
work. They'll go through it because their nose rules,
Yes.
and they would rather go find something. And then it's like, well, I don't want to get shocked when I come back, so maybe I won't go back. You know,
Right.
They just want to do what they want to do, and they're very serious about what they do.
Uh-huh.
They're clowns other times. There's things they do that are
Yeah.
very funny, but when they're serious about a search, that's all they want.
That's the goal.
Absolutely, yes. And
As pets, I presume they're sort of very, because he's so friendly,
Yeah.
and I can't imagine that he isn't
I had
in
I
every
had some visitors
context.
yesterday. The people who very thank God did my snow blowed my drive. Is that snow blowed or snow blew? I don't my driveway.
Cleaned your driveway.
Yeah.
Who cares?
And of course, and they had a young girl with them, their daughter,
Yeah.
and fascinated with the animals, of course. And you know, of course, to my animals who don't see a whole lot, we're on kind of a dead end road. They're
Mhm.
excited to see people, and it was just, so pleasant for everyone to get to enjoy the animals and see
Right.
them and everything, and dogs and cats and all. And I'm sorry you're bored. And they were all good with the people, of course, even though they don't see them very often. But it was enjoyable too because they all learned something.
Yes.
The people especially learned something about them. Bloodhound, and I have 2 St. Bernards too. They're different than they're all different. Even a mixed
Mhm.
breed has certain characteristics.
Absolutely.
And even how a search dog searches it varies on the dog.
Mhm.
And he's just been so good. And I've hated to turn down some people, but I've had to when it's been a
Yeah.
situation where I'm putting him at risk. I won't do that. And
Yeah.
I just can't. Even the thing about going into the woods where there are hunters. Did I think about I might get shot? No, it was like
Well,
Brown.
he's-
He might get shot.
Yeah, well,
Well, you like
reality-
these too. Well, yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
but you could put an orange vest on.
Yeah.
You're much more likely to be recognized.
And if I get shot, they're in big trouble.
Yeah.
My dog gets shot, they get away with it.
Yeah,
know?
it's true.
Not a good thing. But yeah, he's been very important to me.
Yeah.
The dog I had before this, something people should know that have large dogs, such as Bloodhounds, St. Bernards, Newfies, Great Danes, are very prone to a condition called bloat.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost my first Bloodhound search dog to bloat. And they don't even know what causes it. Did we hear something? Was it important?
Yeah. What's the longevity of a bloodhound?
I actually had a female that lived to be 13, which is pretty old.
Yeah.
Once they get up around 9 or 10, you kind of start worrying. It seems like most bloodhounds die from either cancer or bloat.
Mm.
And a lot of the big dogs, that's kind of the route that we go.
Yeah. I mean, little dogs obviously seem to live much
Yeah.
longer lives than
Yeah, they do.
the bigger dogs.
They mature at a different rate and so
Yeah.
on. And, it's much different for them. You can get them to live quite a long time. But the big dogs, they grow up fast and they just don't live
Right.
as long, which is really hard to deal with sometimes.
Of
I
course.
don't know. I keep thinking about him being 9. He looks so different now than in the pictures I have him when I got him.
Right.
He's starting to get light gray marks and his muzzle and everything. He starts looking older. Yes, you're looking old.
So starting that training school really needs to happen now.
Yeah, because
For
I
him.
can't do it forever.
No.
I get bad hips, knees, whatever. He drags me around anyway, but uphill,
He's a big
downhill.
guy.
Yeah. And he's dragged me through streams. He's dragged me through places where probably if I were just hiking, I would say that's not a good idea,
Right.
And yet he'll do that. And
Do you fasten him to you?
basically, I sometimes use this, but I have a long lead
Yeah.
and attach that to a harness, which is
Yeah.
like this. And this goes
Yeah.
on him. And that's the difference with a harness and the collar.
He says, "Oh, am I working?
He thinks so.
Cool."
We need the D-ring, you know that. There we go, put it on. Thank you. And I need your foot.
Now you dressed almost.
And your foot, you know how that works. Yes, he says, "Oh, Mommy, I know we're not going anywhere. It's not, Mommy, you make pretend with you." Are you getting chubby or what? We have a little trouble fastening that sometimes. But what happens is, I'm then attached to here,
Uh-huh.
and he's strong as it is, as you can see.
He's a big guy.
And
Yeah.
once I'm attached to here, he's making the decisions.
Right.
And when you go on a search, it is very important that you stay behind the dog.
Sure.
As soon as you get in front of him, what you're telling him is, "You're not right, I know what we're doing."
I'm the
And he'll look
boss.
at you and either get angry or say, "Okay, it's your
Yeah.
take, you do it." And what happens sometimes on a
Mm-hmm.
search, which is really fun with him, and something he just does, is we're going along, and he's sniffing pretty steadily in a certain area, and then he may hesitate or something, and I say, "All right, I just want to check that he hasn't overshot the
Mhm.
scent." And he, so I'll stop him. I have the people stay behind me, and I'll stop him, and I'll turn him around and go, "Are you sure?" And what happens is, if I get him to turn around even, he stops dead, facing backwards.
Yeah.
Stops dead and looks up at me like, "Hey, stupid, I told you it's that way." He makes it so clear what he's thinking. He will not go the wrong way.
Right.
And if for some reason we got a call, we want to go somewhere else or something, and I have to turn him around, I have to convince him that it's okay to turn around right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because he'll look at me like, "Why? That's not the right thing to do."
Uh-huh.
And, we've got a call from someone saying, "Oh, I think I saw your dog such and such."
Right.
Excuse you.
Excuse me. Well, unfortunately, we're out of time.
Oh.
It goes really fast. So I want to thank you for coming. And
You're
Redford, I
welcome.
really want to thank you. and let's set up something on
Yes,
Bluff
I'd
Farm.
love to,
and
because I
do
think
that.
people would.
That would be
People
great.
I've gone on searches with, some
So
of them
great.
are so, there's one guy in particular, we did not find his dog, we looked a number of times.
Yeah.
He's over in Cambridge area up there.
Yeah.
And he fell in love with Redford completely. Most
Yeah.
people do anyway, but
Yeah,
he
well,
did so
yeah.
much so.
I'd take him home.
Oh, he'd love to have Redford. He'd love to.
Yeah.
Very good home, too. Totally fell in love with him. We went 3 different times trying
Yeah.
to find his dog. And his dog had been frightened by fireworks.
Oh.
I hate, excuse you,
He
I'm
said
pulling
you're
on the
choking
collar,
me.
so he's, yeah.
Yeah.
I hate fireworks.
Yeah.
They're not a good thing.
Yeah, they stampede cats too, unfortunately.
And horses will run through fences.
Yeah.
Wild birds out in the wild will run
Yeah.
into buildings, they get disoriented.
Yeah.
There's nothing good about fireworks
Right.
at all. And I have gotten calls so often after there have been
Yeah.
fireworks.
And some cultures have noiseless fireworks, which
Yes, which
are
at
much
least would be a
better.
help, although
Yeah.
they still are polluting
Absolutely.
the earth, which isn't good.
Yeah.
But,
Okay, well, thank you so much.
You're very
and
welcome.
Hopefully we do some tracking soon.
Redford. He's
You're
been
off.
sniffing all over here because there's so
I
many
know, he
different
says
good scents.
we all stink, he says.